What's going on, everybody? D-Style Boxing here, bobbing, weaving my way into out of this weekend. What a weekend. A lot of stuff to talk about. This is Aftermath. Chauncey Pearl's in the chat. El Chido Andre Rodriguez, DJ Mexicano de Tejas, Puerto Rican Rum, Jesus Sam. All you guys, shout out to all of you. I'm being joined by Alex Doomsday Lanes. Or is that Lanes? Lanes? Did I pronounce that right? Did I butcher that?
Laines.
Laines. All right. And of course, George from Off the Roads Boxing and MMA. And Joe B from Ringside Reporter Live here on YouTube. Nando Llamas right out of the gate. I appreciate it. Hey, yo. Saludos to the panel in the chat. Hey, there you go. Shout out to the bad guy, Razor Ramon. All right. Shout out to all those flags. Puerto Rican Rum, I appreciate it. Let's get started with the breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready. You know, there's been a lot of trilogies that have made history. Ali, Frazier. You know what I mean? What a historic trilogy that is. They ended it with the Thriller in Manila, you know what I mean? And of course, we had the Gotti Ward trilogies. Eric Morales against Marco Antonio Barrera, where Eric Morales was robbed 3 straight times. But nonetheless, now we're getting ready for another trilogy. Oh, I mean, Wilder versus, Fury. I hope you're all ready, and I hope you're ready for this. Hey, Beeb, talk to us. Talk to us. Are you ready for this trilogy, brother? You know what I'm talking about. Are you ready for this trilogy? Are you excited? I know you're going to buy it. Like that I know. I think you already bought the pay-per-view. You already put that shit in escrow to buy it.
So much for daring to be great. We're getting this fight that nobody wanted. All right? Nobody wanted this fight.
The trilogy.
I don't like this fight. I think it's a very irrelevant fight. You're fighting a guy who's 40 years old, who's not even a super middleweight. He doesn't even have a WBO super title, right? So he can't move up and become the mandatory. So once again, this guy is undisputed. No David Benavidez fight. No David Morrell fight. We're getting Gennady Golovkin. I don't like it.
It's a Thriller in Vegas. It's a Thriller Manila 2022, brother.
I don't like it. I'm not with it. I'm sorry. I don't like the fight. But I will buy it because I'm a loser. I buy everything.
Okay, I need to press you on some. Just a little bit. A couple years ago, nobody wanted to see Marquez Pacquiao 3. Nobody. Okay?
I did.
But you did. So what's different about this?
Are you calling me a nobody? I wanted to see it.
No, what I'm saying is you wanted to see the fight when nobody wanted to see the fight. When most people...
All right, just clarify. I thought you were calling me a nobody. I don't want you to call me a nobody.
No, when most people didn't want to watch it, you were like, you know what? What about the Gennady Golovkin fans saying, no, this is a good fight? What do you say?
Bully for them. How's that? That's what I got to say for them. Bully for them. Let them enjoy it.
Senor Lainez, talk to us, brother.
Senor Lainez stands on the other side of the island and shit, man. I was waiting for this, and it's kind of. I think that the fight makes more sense, but in my head, it's like, damn, right now we kind of got to see Canelo in that light that he's not this unstoppable force. You know what I mean? He just had, a loss that he hadn't had since never, since Mayweather, the only guy who ever beat him. So right now, him going into a fight with Triple G, which Triple G was also being questioned of, how his return would be and how much he really got left. I think that the fight right now would actually, some fighters take in between fights. Canelo never takes in between fights. If you want to call this like the mother of all in between fights with a guy like Triple G before he goes back to Bivol, because that's the story, right? That's what he's saying. He's gonna fight Triple G and then he'll go back up to Bivol. I mean, I don't know how one does that. It's a lot of weight to be dribbling up and down the court. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting to see. But before even Canelo took on Bivol, I wanted to see the triple. You know, I triple G, triple time, dog. You know, give some of the fans, and I think there's a lot of fans actually that want to see that fight. Biebs is more like, see, Biebs, you're so far ahead, you know, that you know exactly what's gonna happen. Probably, I mean, the deterioration that Triple G has probably had already. I mean, but you just never know. And Triple G's never been, one to get knocked out, knocked down or put away. So it's not a fight that I'm expecting for Canelo to knock him out. I mean, I really don't see him knocking Triple G out. But that's my take.
Right. George, talk to us, brother. Are you pumped? Are you disappointed? What are your thoughts?
I mean, it could be worse, right? Sorry, it could be worse.
Sure.
I mean, it's not a bad in-between fight after coming off of Bivol.
Beeb doesn't look satisfied with that explanation.
I know. I'm sorry, Beeb. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
It could be worse.
It could be worse. And it could be John Ryder, right? But I mean, it was in the contract. It was already talked about him fighting him one of these 3 fights on the zone. So I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, Calix, said it best. Nobody wanted the 4th fight with Pacquiao Marquez. This fight probably can deliver. Just going off of the Bivol and Canelo. I mean, could Canelo be a little more vulnerable this time going into a 3rd fight? I mean, does it look a little more intriguing that Canelo lost? I mean, what kind of mindset or what is the mentality that Canelo is going to be going into this 3rd fight with? That's something I ask myself and wondering how it's going to be. Is he going to question himself? And then going from 175 to 168. What kind of, how is his body going to react to coming back down? Is he going to go vegan? Is he going to do the carne asada again? I don't know. But I mean, I'm not disappointed. It is the 3rd fight to finally put it to rest. I don't see a knockout, but I definitely could see Canelo stopping him to the body. So.
Damn. And Nando Llamas, I appreciate it. No one wanted Marquez Pac 4 either. How's that work out? Bad blood cells always. Hey, B, I remember people saying, Pacquiao's at another level. He beat guys like Cotto, big dudes like that. What's little Marcus going to do to him? What do you mean Marcus going to move up to fight him? And Pacquiao's destroying guys. He can't hang with Pacquiao no more. It sounds familiar, doesn't it?
But haven't I always said all along, didn't I always pick Marquez in those fights? I believed in Marquez because styles make fights, right? And a 40-year-old Triple G, his style is not going to overcome Canelo at this point in time. And then I'm just going to tell you this. He's not rematching Bivol. He's going to fight John Ryder after this.
Oh, come on.
Like George said.
He's
I'm
a
sorry,
rider.
I'm sorry. Bivol. And you know what? Let Bivol fight the winner of Joe Smith Jr. versus Artur Beterbiev, all right?
Yeah.
Let him unify. Let him not unify. Let him become undisputed. That's what we need.
How about this? How about we put Bivol on the undercard of Canelo Gennady Golovkin?
No undercards. We're not doing undercards.
Hold on. Let me explain. And then he could fight at like 172 pounds.
We're not doing that.
To work his way down to 168. It's what you said. He wanted him to acclimate himself and have time to work his way down, right?
Right now, we're going a different route.
But what I'll say is this, man. I'm just going to embrace. I'm just going to embrace the fight. He is coming off a loss. When a guy comes off a loss, you don't go after another killer. Like, when do guys do that? Like, you got to take a more winnable fight, get your confidence back up. And this is a dangerous fight for being a confidence booster, right? In my opinion.
Please.
I'm just saying, what if he just has that style? It's always going to give Canelo problems, and it's a good fight. You know what I mean? It's possible. Like I think Gennady Golovkin with that win over Murata.
Did you get a job with the Zone over the weekend? What's going on?
No. I'm just trying to look at the positive here.
What are you doing? Come on.
I feel like, and then Alex made some great points. He brought me in with the fight, so I liked it. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, we got to be open-minded about it. Like, are you going to buy it, Beeb?
It's going to be on the Zone. Why am I have to buy it?
What do you mean? It's going to be the Zone pay-per-view. You know what it is.
It's not. It's not going to be his Zone pay-per-view. They're not going to do that.
They're going to do that.
Come on.
Like, why wouldn't they do that?
We're not doing that. Come on.
They want money back for what they lost for Gennady Golovkin, brother. Like they're gonna put the shit on pay-per-view.
That's not going to happen. Come on.
You know, whatever money they feel they've lost. You know what I mean? But okay. Well, look, all I know is this. With Gennady Golovkin moving up to fight Canelo, I think we all agree he'll likely lose, right? Does he hang on to those middleweight titles? Like, what's up with the middleweight division? Like, if Charlo moves up to fight Benavidez, if Gennady Golovkin's moving up, Andrade's gone. What's up with this division?
He just got shoulder surgery. Andre.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, look, if I watched that dude from Qazaqstyle fight, it would hurt my shoulder too, and I would have to like vacate my belt and everything. I'm just saying. But we'll talk about him later. But B, what's going on? This is the middleweight division. It is historically. You've been watching boxing a long time. It was one of the glamour divisions. It's the middleweight division, and it's a disarray right now.
I think Charlo is gonna go up to 168 too. He's gonna probably fight Benavidez at some point. I think, but this is what I think will happen. I think Benavidez will fight Plant, and then Charlo will fight the winner of that fight. And I think the middleweight division's it's gonna be wide open. Really, right? I don't know what Golovkin's going to do. If he's probably going to go right back down after he loses to Canelo. Go right back down. He'll probably be the only name down there, right? Jacobs is 168. Who else is down there? Oh,
correct me if I'm wrong. This is the only time in history that I remember where everyone's leaving the middleweight division because the money's at 168.
Well, Janibek will probably be the new Golovkin down there.
Oh, don't say that name too loud now. You know what I mean?
The boogeyman.
He's the real boogeyman right now, man.
Because I wanted to segue to Janibek, so I'll follow up with that. Beep. What like is it going to be wide open for him to take over?
He's going to be the new undisputed down there.
I mean, is Tony Boy going to put Munguia in the ring with Janibek?
You're going to have Munguia left and Janibek, and Munguia is probably going to he'll probably pick up one of the vacant titles. Right?
Chris Eubanks right there in the rankings, too.
Yeah.
Chris Eubanks. You got Chris Eubanks. Good. That's a good one, Doomie. I forgot about him. So you got him. All right. So we got a lot of up and comers. So you got Eubanks is like he's like 33 years old. He's getting up there, so he's better make a move soon, right? Oh, yeah. So you got him, you got Janibek, you got Munguia.
Munguia.
What are the chances of Jamal actually staying? Sticking around.
That's what I'm saying. Jamal's gonna go up. So.
Let me ask you guys this: do you think Billy Joe Saunders can make 160 still? Because that might be his only chance to ever like being in contention again, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Billy's not coming back. Is he? Billy?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But hey, Doomsday, the middleweight division, man, is it Janibek's to take? He's had a destructive performance, but like, what's up with the middleweight division? Like, do you think it's? I think
we're at disarray, or maybe at a crossroads. I think that you're gonna have some new champions in that division. I mean, Gennady Golovkin, if he fights Canelo, he's gonna if the majority state that he'll lose, he'll be letting go of those two belts. And does Canelo stay there, or does he vacate? And then you have some interesting bouts that can come from that. Some of the top guys. I don't know who's earned it more. I think Jaime Munguia is one of those guys. They should be fighting for any of those two titles if they get vacated in that matter. But you guys are high on Janibek, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Sure. I've seen a couple of highlights. I haven't really looked at his fights. Maybe I'm missing out. But I'm gonna take a look at that. I know he's a power puncher. No, did he knock somebody out as of late?
He's been knocking people out. Yeah,
Saturday he for sure knocked the guy out. And look, George.
Yeah,
what do you make of the middleweight division? Because Triple G's moving up. Charlo might be moving up. Andrade just had surgery. He's 34 years old. I mean, those are the three title holders right now. So, what do you make of the middleweight division? What do you think the near future holds for it?
Yeah. I think once Triple G moves up, if there's Triple G fans out there, I'm sorry to say this, but when Triple G loses, You know, I don't think he'll come back down to 160. I think, you know, this might be the end for Triple G. Maul, like Beeb said, he might be going up. So that you know, that division is wide open. And then also, if you just look down to 154, there's some names there still. You know, there's Tim Tszyu, there's Fundora, there's Tony Harrison. I mean, no, they're still new and they're still young, and they still, you know, need to get some belts at 154. But you know, 160 will be open, I think, for a little while until these guys, you know, take a look and see, hey, you know what, this division is up for grabs. Let me grab some belts here from 154 to 160. But if Janibek sticks around, I mean, he's going to be the guy to, you know, he's going to be like the Bitter Beeve of 160. You know, the way Better Beeve is at 175. You're not gonna have too many people that are going to want to contest him or try to, you know, try to test him or try to go after those belts. But as of now, once Triple G goes up to 168 against Canelo, is Janibek's to get. But I say for like another year or so, then you got the new guys from 154 coming up.
Absolutely. Shout out to Jesus M, Central Sun, Chicano Prophet, Chief Funky, Anali Jaramillo, Central Sun. All you guys, thank you so much for being here. Remy says, Beeb don't want or don't like the trilogy, but Canelo can maybe pick up his combinations back against Triple G for the Bivol rematch, and Triple G finally moves up.
Won't work.
You impressed? You impressed?
It won't work.
All right. Shout out to Stark Cinema. I'm watching Raleigh beat people in Connecticut forward right now on All Access, man. I'm hyped about this weekend. I can't wait for sure. We'll definitely be talking about that fight on the roundtable on Thursday. Make sure you guys tune in for that one. Look, speaking of Janibek, so let me start with you, Doomsday. I know you said you watched some highlights. Like, are you skeptical or kind of, I don't know, like what's going on? Why don't you believe in what you're seeing? Like, do you think it's a mirage or what? I don't. I think he froze up there.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's go to George. What do you think of Janibek, man? I mean, I think he looks great. I mean, the fundamentals are there, the power's there. I think the guy he looks like Triple G did when he was younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they say, you know, he passes the eye test, at least for most of everybody. And just like, you know, like Boots and other young guys, the question, of course, is how will he react when he gets hit with a clean shot? Is he going to be able to hold his own? What is he going to do when he faces adversity? I really don't think this guy will be the one to actually face adversity. I think he'll be pretty dominant for a while. I like what I see. Me and Julian, in the beginning, we would go back and forth because I wanted to see Andrade do something good. But he's like, hey, Andrade is avoiding Janibek. And I'm like, who the hell is Janibek? And then I finally seen him, and I'm like, shit, you know, there might be something to it. You know, he's like a high risk, low reward guy at the time. Now he's starting to get the recognition. So I said, I don't think too many people are going to want to give him that chance. I think from 160 to even like 175, if he actually makes it that far. But I think he's the man right now. I'm excited to see. I like the style he does. He's real powerful. He boxes really well. He just doesn't hit hard. He like actually sets up shots really nice. He has a good blinding jab, and that counter uppercut I think is pretty scary, man. Just the way he knocked the dude out Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Doomsday. So you're not sold on Janibek, brother?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. I was freaking flying through a frozen. Anyway,
Janibek even knocked your stream out. Like when you start talking about a bone.
I'm getting my. Can you guys even hear me? Hello?
Yes.
All right. I guess I'm just freezing up, but you got my audio. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't really been. You know, I didn't even know he fought Saturday. Was he on the undercard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was the main event. Actually, he was the main event.
Yeah, I haven't seen this guy, man. I've been totally off my game. If I did see, I'm gonna have to look into this guy, bro. It's fucking. I feel mad casual right now. Everybody's excited about him.
So like you don't believe he's the real deal?
I mean, look, I believe it when I start really hearing some really, really good names. I mean, I don't know how much credit you're giving him for his last three. I know Rob Brandt's a good opponent. But what is it? What is it that you guys? Yeah, what is it that you guys are seeing?
Well, let's do the talk to us, B.
Educate me right now. Is it his boxing ability? Is it his power? Is it a combination? Is it his defense? What is he actually? What is he doing?
Babe, talk to us. Well, what are you seeing him? Tell Doomsday what do you see in Janibek? Are you sold on him?
He's one of those well-schooled boxers from the amateur program. Just really a fundamentally sound guy with power. So when you got a guy who can box and can punch at the same time, fights very textbook, very disciplined. I think he's got all the tools. He's going to be the man because he can just set people up perfectly and lands that big shot and takes them out. Big difference, I think, from him and Golovkin is both of those guys come up like from the same amateur system, right? Won a lot of world champions, and Golovkin actually was a silver medalist in the Olympics. But this guy Janibek's got something special when it comes to that one punch power, man. I think he's got more explosiveness than Gennady Golovkin. So he's a lot.
Egas, huh? Egas is managing Klimas.
Yeah, he's a lot like Golovkin, but I think he has the potential to be better.
Yeah, and then the good thing too is he's actually getting recognition a little earlier. Like Triple G came in, I think like late 30s. Like he's coming in, fresh and young, and not young, but he's getting more recognition, I think, earlier.
He's getting a jump on the game. He's not coming on the big scene late, like you said, like Triple G did. So
it's crazy. BoxRec has him as Janibek, ZH.
Janibek. Yeah, it's a lot of different ways to pronounce that name.
Yeah, there's no way to really use that. But check it out.
Qazaqstyle.
Yeah. He said Qazaqstyle, not Mexican style. I don't know. He's throwing shots at Gennady Golovkin.
Oh,
like you know what I mean? Like you talking about Mexican style, not Qazaqstyle. Like, well, what are you doing? Why are you getting away from the tribe and trying to be like those other dudes? Like you know what I mean? So that's him, man. I think he's a real deal, to be honest with you. Now, do I think Andrade ran scared from him? Well, no, I really don't. I just think Andrade was looking for big names at this point. He's 34 years old. He's looking for big names, right? And he is. He's. I guess someone could say, but he's a low risk. I mean, big, high risk, low reward type of guy. So that would make guys avoid him. Fair enough, but they can't avoid him forever, and the division's about to open up. So I think the sky's the limit for him, man. We'll see what happens with him. On the undercard, Jamel Herring, he retires after his loss to Jamaine Ortiz. First of all, I thought Jamel Herring looked good at the beginning of the fight. I thought he was doing a lot better than the commentators were giving him credit for, but in the end, it didn't matter. Ortiz picked up the pace. He created a high tempo, and Jamel Herring, like from round 6 on, just couldn't keep up. He just couldn't keep up with him. And he lost the second half of that fight every single round, and that lost him the fight. I scored it 6 rounds to 4 for Ortiz. I do think this is one of those fights where I personally feel like youth make the difference, right? And why shouldn't Ortiz use his youth and use a higher work rate? And Jamal just couldn't keep up with him. George, what you think of Jamel Herring? And do you think he's done? I mean, he said he was done, but you think he'll be back?
Like they say, sometimes a fighter just can't let it go. He's been a fighter all his life. He's been in the military, so he understands what it means to fight. But I think so, man. I think it's it's time to hang it up for him. He had a good little run at the end there. Beat Carl Frampton. He lost to Stevenson, and then he just lost this fight. So I will say yes, he's most likely going to stay retired. But the way I saw this fight, I saw it the same way. He started off really good. I would say maybe 4th round, 5th round, you could see Ortiz, starting to make his impression a little bit on Herring, and just like you said, the thing they said is youth, and you saw the youth in there. Ortiz was fresher. He looked like he could probably even go 12. He probably looked like he'd probably go a couple more rounds, after finishing. But overall, I think it was a good career. I think people will obviously remember who Herring was, not just in the ring, but what he's done outside. So it's sad, but he did what he had to do, and he just came away, with the loss. So no, it's no dice. I think he's retiring.
Okay. Beeb, same question to you, and I want to add this. Did you see Colbert throw shots at him, saying, hey, maybe you should have stayed in the military and stay away from boxing or something like that? Yeah, you're muted, brother.
I didn't hear that, but Colbert says a lot of distasteful things, man. I mean, he's just you shouldn't really knock people who were in the military. I mean, guys fighting for their country, they should be honored. They shouldn't be, discredited like that. But once again, this is why, like when Colbert loses and stuff like that, everyone piles on him. So this is just more ammunition for people to dump on Colbert, really. But he can say what he wants. But I just kind of think it's in poor taste.
It's in poor taste, right? Yeah. What you think of Jamal's Herring's performance and Ortiz?
A little disappointed. Herring was getting up there in age, anyways. He seemed like he did have one foot out the door. It wasn't like you mentioned it before. Like at 130, he wasn't really a big puncher. So what was he going to be at 135? So yeah, big guy. He's tall. I was surprised he could still make 130. He was like 5'10", making 130. But he had a good career. I mean, how many people can become world champions? I mean, he was a world champion. So
yo, prime time be wilding. Why are you saying that?
So that's what he said. I don't want to put words in his tweet, I guess.
Nah, I said you need to stick to your military service. Where is he coming from with that?
I mean, did Jamel?
Yeah, and he lost. He got beat up.
So
good.
just to put a little bit, and I'm not trying to be devil's advocate or defender. So I just want to give context. So after his loss, apparently Herring said something to him about
I knew it. Yeah, it had to be
because he had questioned Herring's heart in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was quote unquote running in his fight, Herring called him out for it. Oh, I thought you had all this heart, but you were running in the last few rounds. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So that, and then this was retaliation to that. But
look, you gotta have both stories, because then you make Chris out
right.
This. But even though he didn't have to throw the military service in there.
Yeah, that's what makes it. That's a low. And then not only is it because it's military service, there's been a lot of great boxers in history that did military service.
Yeah,
So Ray Mercer was in the military. I mean, like you just can't, you know what I mean? You can't just throw that out there like that.
I mean, at least we know that it wasn't just
Steve Cunningham was a military man too.
Yeah.
USS Cunningham. Yeah, man. Look, again, guys, I failed you. I didn't catch that fight. I caught it on the highlights.
Gene Tunney, by the way, was a Marine as well. I mean,
oh yeah. Hoorah. But yeah, I didn't catch the fight. Caught the highlights, but it was basically what you guys just said. Youth versus a little bit of experience, and then experience wasn't enough. That kid was strong throughout the whole fight, all the way into the last round. You're right. He could have done a few more rounds. He was much quicker, and he was piling on more combinations. And I think that at times it even seemed like, he was just kind of standing there and taking more punches on the gloves than he was supposed to. Herring, that is. So, listen, you got to give him mad props. He's done a lot in the sport. He's been a champion. He's accomplished a lot. He can, hang up his gloves and walk in right into the couch in the living room and relax with the family, man. That man's done a lot. He's been through a lot, and he deserves all the respect.
So I want to go around the panel real quick. Was this more Jamel Herring getting old, Ortiz being that good, or a mix of both? Beeb?
Probably mix of both, I would have to say. Because Herring beat an older Frampton too. So, and then even that in the fight he had before that, he was, that's when people started questioning, because didn't he get cut in that fight or whatever? And then I think he won on.
I think that's why Colbert started.
Andre Ward questioned him too in that fight. A lot of people questioned him in that fight because he got cut and he didn't continue, but. Mikey Garcia did Mike Garcia get headbutted in the nose and he busted up his nose and he didn't
against Solito.
Yeah, so I don't know. Sometimes you gotta do the smart thing in there. So
right. Doomsday, mix of both, or is Herring just old? Is Ortiz that dude? Like what thing?
No, Ortiz is good. He's up and coming. I think for him doing as well as he did against a guy like Jamel Herring, even though he's old or he's on his way out, whatever you want to say, it's a lot of experience that's in that boxing brain. So he went up against a guy that's experienced, and he looked good. It wasn't spectacular, but he looked good, and he still looked strong to the very end. So I give Jamaine his credit. And at the same time, you cannot not see what was going on in the ring at times.
Right.
There was much more activity coming out of Jamaine. Jamaine was even shoving him at times. So you would see that he was much stronger. And being in the ring, man, that starts to detriment you, man. I mean, even in the late rounds when you're trying to give it your all and you're tired, and then you got a guy that's super fresh and he's like, kind of grinding you, mushing you, still throwing high combination volume, you start to wear, and you kind of saw that in the later rounds.
Right. Okay. What about you, George?
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna say it's a little bit of both, but I'm gonna lean a little bit towards Ortiz. Like Doomy said, he's skilled, he's good, he's young, he's fresh, he's got good combinations. Just Herring, like they say, father time. It could just be over the years of wear and tear. And Ortiz, like I said, it's just Ortiz was a little more towards Ortiz, 60-40 for me.
I gotta make Beeb laugh. Hey Beeb, if Ortiz was 36, he would have lost.
What?
There's just a trend nowadays. Like people like a dude loses, and like, oh yeah, well they just like change like
someone said to me in my chat this morning when I was doing a show, would Bivol have won if he was 5'7"?
Wow.
Would I be in the NBA if I was 7 feet? I don't know. Probably
hey, nobody
not.
know, right?
Probably not.
That makes you feel good because if Tyson Fury wasn't 6'9", he wouldn't have been undefeated. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. If it was 5'8", would he have beaten Wilder? Yeah. Hey, this very impromptu, but like I was thinking about when people were questioning like the heart of Herring, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which is crazy to me. Like it's this guy's been in the ring, he's served the military, but they're questioning his heart, right? So Paulie did a show with the Tarver and Roy Jones. It's a good show. I'm not criticizing the show.
Yeah, but shout out to Paulie, man. He was out. He's Pro Box TV.
Yeah. And great show. I recommend it. Check it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he said a line, man. He's like, well, I talk to these Mexicans, and then they tell me like don't rather the fighters, swallow the blood before they swallow their pride, right? He said like Canelo's out of contention from being one of the best Mexican fighters, like tops, because he lost to Bivol the way he lost to Bivol. Right? Like he swallowed his pride before he swallowed his blood, Beeb. Well, what do you say to that?
This whole stereotypical Mexican fighter thing. I mean, Marquez showed us that he could, you could be a boxer, you could be Mexican and be a very skilled boxer / counterpuncher, right? So did Mikey Garcia. So this whole blood and guts thing, go out on your shield. Paulie never fought that way. Not everyone fights that way. That boxing has different layers to it, right? And everyone can choose their flavor or what they like, right? So just because you're Mexican and you're this, you're that, you have to fight a certain way. I don't know. It's just very narrow-minded way of looking at the sport, in my opinion. But he has a right to his own opinion. I respect him. He was a great analyst. I like him. But sometimes he does say crazy things,
What?
Like that time when he said the Eastern Europeans taking over boxing. And then I looked at the pound for pound list, and there weren't that many there's like one or two Eastern European fighters on that list at the time he said it. So
I remember there was like 5 champions. I'm doing a show with Beeb, and he's talking about oh no, Vacek's not a champion no more. But Beeb, like, he lost to another European. Beeb goes, he took out one of his own. Like, it is what it is. Hey, but Doomsday, what do you think of that, man? You think Canelo swallowed his pride before he swallowed his blood in the ring with Bivol?
What does that mean? Explain. You guys.
know.
Oh, hey.
What do you mean?
He said Vargas told him that. Like, in other words, he wasn't willing to just swing away and risk getting knocked out to try to get a stoppage or something, or go for broke. You know, like
it's like a quote out of that movie. Remember that movie 300?
Yeah.
We are Spartans.
Okay. Was that your best Spartan voice?
No, but anyways, that was pretty good, man.
All right, listen. Damn, man. Did he swallow his? Say this again. I'm gonna have to memorize this one.
doesn't it take balls to swallow your pride?
Like, what do you mean, bro? Like, he did what he did what he thought was best to win the fight in there. I thought that he just kind of got a little tired at the end, and I think that's why he kind of chose to kind of chill out on the rope.
I think people are insinuating that Canelo just like packed it in and just kind of accepted defeat in the last few rounds.
I don't believe that. He was trying.
Nah, I think that I think that in his mind, he thought that he still had it in the bag, and I think that he really genuinely was tired. I mean, who goes fucking vegan? Like, you're fighting. Like, you gotta
vegan gate.
Listen, and I know I'm gonna get attacked by all the vegans. I'm gonna get a hella fucking
DMs. But he didn't go full vegan though. He was he
vegetarian. I mean,
he just cut back on his meat, but he was still eating fish and stuff.
Yeah, that's what he says. He'll go like he'll eat vegetables like 2 days out of the week. Decide to have some meat. You have meat. It wasn't like full vegan.
He just cut down his meat consumption.
We can make all the excuses, right?
He's golfing. He's golfing.
Yeah, he over golfed. We could say the fact of the matter is that he didn't do enough, and in the later rounds is where he should have took more risks, and thrown in between combinations and really try to hit Bivol.
Well, maybe that's what Paulie's getting at. Like,
yeah, that's
you're right. Do more. You know, like.
And I mean, he should have done more. I mean, don't you guys agree? I mean, that fucking bicep punch. Listen, if the guy's bicep ain't fucking ruptured by the fucking 8th round, like, you got to give it up.
Hey, Eddie Hearn scored those blows. I'm saying.
You got to fucking give it up.
What I think happened to him? I think he thought he was going to break this guy down eventually, and when it didn't happen, I think he was just.
He had no game plan.
He was
Come
surprised.
on. We got fucking Canelo up in this pedestal like he can't do wrong. He fucked up. He got too cocky.
Yeah.
Something, whether you want to blame it on his diet or not, he was tired towards the end. Whether that be that he was taking on a more heavier.
It was a fast pace.
That really belongs in that weight. Fast pace too. So there was a lot of things that got stacked up against him. I mean, I still give him mad credit. That's why I don't knock Canelo for one bit. He's doing shit that a lot of people don't want to lose that. A lot of people don't want to risk their, getting a loss. And he did it in a fashion that he'll be remembered for a long time. He could have done more.
He never really did like to fight a fast-paced fight anyways. And we've seen him get tired in other fights too, even at lighter weight classes. But you have to understand too, I mean, when you're swinging for the fences with every punch and you're missing, of course you're going to get tired. I just think he really underestimated Bivol. He thought that he saw Joe Smith hurt him, and he thought if I get this guy good, I can get him out of there. And when it didn't happen, I think he was surprised. He was discouraged. And by the time, he realized it wasn't working, it was too late.
What round did he knock out Kovalev in?
11th.
Yeah, he was down in that fight. Let's say he doesn't catch Kovalev, right? And Kovalev finishes strong in the 12th, and then people will probably be saying the same thing. Oh, Canelo, he didn't go for broke. Like, I think he thought, man, I just need that one clean shot.
Yeah.
There was no urgency either. He wasn't in any kind of urgency against Kovalev. I think he knew eventually he was going to be able to do that, and I think he thought he was going to do this against Bivol. Yeah. Bivol just wasn't going to give in. Bivol looked like, Bivol obviously, trained and was prepared for the kind of Canelo. Canelo didn't have a plan B. It was just his plan was to go in there and try to overpower him, and he just wasn't going to budge.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that. Shout out to Haplotype JC in the building. Alex G, how's it going? And Ali Jaramillo says, Remy, I just feel there's other opponents out there. A new name would be better. Would have been better. The rematch is not the agenda right away. She's siding with the Beeb. She doesn't want to see the fight. You know what's going on over here, I guess. But speaking of other breaking news, I'm excited for this one. The ratings might go down with this one because we're going to talk women's boxing, but it is what it is, okay? So Michaela Mayer, Alicia Baumgartner, It's on 130 pounds in the women's. It's a unification fight. The two best in that weight class, in my opinion, are two top 5 pound for pound women fighters on the planet. They're in their prime. This is what I'm talking about right here. Okay. It looks like Alicia Baumgartner was trying to make the Choi fight. It wasn't working out. And, hey, Matchroom and Top Rank worked together to make this fight happen. Top Rank put it out. It's not official where the fight's going to be yet. I'm assuming it's ESPN because they're the ones that put it out, but we don't know yet, right? George, back to you, brother. What do you make of this matchup? Are you excited for it? Or are you like a macho that doesn't watch the women fight? Like, you know what I mean? Touch.
Yeah, no, I'm not a macho. I mean, I'm a macho guy, but I love the women's boxing too, right? It's exciting. Katie Taylor, Serrano. I mean, this is another good fight this year. It's ESPN, the Zone, right? They've already worked together. I think there might be some kind of collaboration where, they're working together on this. I'm excited because it's like a clash of two styles. You got Baumgartner, who's more of a counter fighter. She fights really good off the back foot. And Michaela Mayer, she likes to come forward, bobbing and weaving. She's, like a Joe Frazier, she's in there ducking, diving, bobbing and weaving, body shots, hooks. It's going to be, to me, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Baumgartner actually handles this kind of pressure. And then from this type of fighter, which Michaela Mayer. But I'm looking forward to this. Me and Julian always talk about the women's boxing, not as much on the air, but off the air. But it's a fight to be made, man. This is the second good fight for women's for the women. So excited.
Absolutely. Beeb, what do you make of it, brother? It looks like it's on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a great fight. There's some bad blood between the two women, and if it spills over into the fight, then we're in for a treat. This could be a barn burner. Both women, I think, have great boxing skills. They're very skillful fighters. Like George said, Baumgartner is a good counter puncher. She can box, she can punch as well. And one thing that I've seen from Michaela Mayer is she shows us something different every time she's in there. Like before, she was just more or less an outboxer. She was just throwing 1-2s a lot. And now I'm starting to see her step to the inside, go to the body a lot more, throw combinations, not just throw 1 or 2 punches at a time. So I think Al Mitchell's really developed her. And, Baumgartner has always been a pretty decent fighter as well. So this fight could go, in a number of ways. It could be like a chess match, or it could be a shootout, or it could be a little bit of both. And that's what makes it intriguing, because you have two evenly matched women in there. And these are the type of fights that women's boxing needs. So not only do we get Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, we're going to get Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall. And now we're going to get Alicia Baumgartner versus Michaela Mayer. So this is some great momentum for the sport of women's boxing. So I'm looking forward to this fight.
Shout out to Gator saying, I'm watching this fight because both women are fine. Well, I guess we got to start somewhere, right? Hey, Alex, talk to us, brother. Are you excited for this fight?
No. I second Gator, man. This is a very attractive fight. I think women's boxing just keeps, gaining more momentum as we start to see these different fights happen. Michaela is a 4 fighter. Damn, I forgot. Yo, you guys hear
loud and clear, actually. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Shit, my shit is choppy. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, like Georgie said, right? Michaela is a forward pressure fighter. Alicia's been doing good with her counter punching. She's a hard puncher too. I don't think we've ever seen Michaela, on a stanky leg, right? We've never seen her in danger. She's pretty much always been, the acting generalship in the ring. She's always been the one controlling the pace. And it's going to be good to see these two kind of ram up, so to speak. I think that because of the bad blood, like Joe mentioned, there's going to be some hesitance to work off the back foot. I think one or the other is going to want to push the other one back. I think that we're going to get a great fight. Is it going to be something like we just recently seen with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano? Can it be that big?
I think so.
You guys tell me. I think that women's boxing is starting to be how can I say this?
It's like a renaissance. Like
yeah, it's starting to. It's not just the regular. I guess at first we're waiting for this big fight to happen with Katie.
But do you think we're like in the biggest? This is right now. Like this is the best women's boxing's ever been.
Like this is. When have we seen it like this? We haven't seen it like this, and I think more big networks and these boxing promotions, everybody's really starting to pay more attention to it. And they're really starting to put them in the forefront. They're starting to get the main cards now. And you want them there. You want them there now. I mean, it was never like that. It was always like, oh, okay, we're gonna get a girl fight, and we're gonna get another banger in Michaela and Alicia Baumgartner. Both have good followings on social media, and we know that we got to talk about social media and all that. So these are big stars in the sport of women's boxing, and I think that maybe we can't compare them to Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano as far as how big this fight could be, but I think that it can be a big fight. And I think I don't know. You guys said that it just was mentioned, so we don't even got a venue, right? We don't know where it can happen.
Absolutely. And by the way, I don't. Oh, real quick, but let me just say this before I lose this thought. I don't like to shame men that because I know why people get mad, right? Like, oh, it's more than just looks. Like, right? Look, I have to hear women make me lose a fucking eardrum because they're yelling because Elloie was getting hit. Don't hit his face. You know what I mean? I have to like all these women that like Ryan Garcia, like you don't see them going crazy for other fighters, right? I'm not gonna name names. I don't want to call any fighter like ugly, but. But they have their little preferences too. I'm just saying, I'm just putting that out there. All right. But go ahead, Pete.
Well, I was gonna say, do you guys think because of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, they put some pressure on the other women to get in there? Number one, and number two, seeing how they had such success and how big their event was, do you think that inspired these other ladies to want to get it on? And getting back to the looks of the women and people objectifying the pretty women boxers, but if you go on Alicia Baumgartner's Instagram and you go Twitter, these girls are all in bikinied out, looking all.
There's nothing wrong with looking good and kicking ass.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. So what I'm saying,
we're not complaining, right?
What I'm saying is, when we're gonna say you look good if you showing us that. Is what I'm trying to say.
like for example, like it's you got the.
I'm not complaining, do me.
Well, when Baumgartner's in the pool with Sky and they're like all together, all wet, and like they don't think people are gonna say something. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying.
And you know what? I think that and I'll use Ebony Bridges as an example. Somebody that's kind of like. Doesn't care about what others and haters and whatever you're gonna say, as long as there's always going to be of course a certain level of respect that you got to show, whether you be a spectator, a manager, a promoter, whatever, when you're around a female, period. So the fact that they've I guess adopted or just kind of like this is what it is, this is how it's selling for us, and we can do that. We can get these contracts with these different sponsorships. Like, stop hating on me, you know what I'm saying? And as long as we show that level, a certain level of respect, you got to give any female. Shit, man, do your thing. The shit sells, and it's not like they just look good. They can fight, like really fucking fight. So I as a male or female, you're getting the best. You're getting the best out of everything, man. I got no complaints.
Yeah, no complaint. Plus, you know what? All bullshit aside, it's a good fight. And I'm gonna let everybody know right now. Michaela Maier's gonna win this fight.
Yeah, would you say that she'd be the favorite in this fight?
Should be the favorite.
I don't know if she's gonna be the favorite, but she should be, in my opinion.
Should probably be the favorite.
I think she is.
Now Baumgartner could punch. I'm not gonna take that away from her, and it's a close. It's not like a gimme, obviously, but I'm gonna favor Michaela Maier. All right, I think she's gonna take this one.
Yeah, or without looking at like their last couple fights, I feel like Michaela Maier is actually probably fought a little bit of the tougher competition, at least from like the last couple fights I remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Terry Harper fight was a really good win for Baumgartner, but a lot of people are saying she was weight trained, and that's not Baumgartner's fault. But I mean, we got to take that into account. speaking of, people mentioned her, so let's get out of the way right now. This girl, Elloie Scotney, who's 4-0, defeated Cecilia Roman wide on the scorecards. Why? My bad. Oh man. But I couldn't find the mute button on time. But I got an allergy because Ebony Bridges was about to come up. So this is the girl Ebony Bridges beat for her title. That she beat her with like, can I fight? Yeah, I could fight. I could fight, right? I could fight. Like. But this 4-0 girl just like wiped out the girl you beat 10-0 on the scorecards. 9-1 if you're generous. Babe, what do you make of it? I mean, is this surprising to you or what? Like what?
I will say that Ebony Bridges did look better in her last fight than she had in the past. Now you can argue, we'll look at the opponent, but she was still throwing her jab. You know, she was snapping her jab out there instead of pushing it out there. She was throwing her punches straighter instead of looping them. She was going to the body more. She had her spacing down, and she was setting her shots up instead of trying to bomb her opponent out with one punch at a time. So she did show improvement, right? I'll give her credit for that. But I had that fight a lot closer than the zone broadcasters did. I think they were kind of caping for Ebony Bridges. That girl is not that bad of a fighter. She really isn't, that she beat. But she's a little shop worn, and maybe this was just the result of her just being a little shop worn. She's got a lot of fights for a female fighter. What does she have? Like something like 40-something fights or something like that? She's got a lot of fights. Mm-hmm. She's got some miles on her. So, and she's up there in age too. So maybe over the weekend she could have hit the wall. Who knows? But she had a lot of experience. She's a decent fighter herself. But like I said, maybe she just hit the wall over the weekend. So I don't want to take too much away from Ebony Bridges. I mean, she became a world champion, and that's not an easy thing to do. And like I said, this young lady is not a bad fighter. So I'm not going to say just because she lost that maybe she was overrated or she wasn't good. But anyone can have their own opinion on it.
Yeah, for sure. George, talk to us, brother. I mean, what do you make of it? I mean, the main question is, what does it say about the Blonde Bombers title win when the girl she beat for the title just got beat like 10-0 on the scorecards by a girl that's 4-0?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, the blonde bomber. Sorry, I was tongue twister. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say like 2 fights before her last one. She's, I guess people want to say gifts, whatever you want to call it. She got pretty lucky getting barely getting by. I don't really like to try to compare like their last couple opponents when they actually face each other because, of course, styles make fights. Anything can happen. The blonde bomber can actually do something different. It's like the level of competition. You're gonna show up to your level of competition knowing that Scotney, did really well. I'm sure she's gonna want to train as hard as she can, and prepare for her. But it is something to say, though, her being 4-0 to actually fight somebody with that much experience actually shows where she's at, career-wise. So, if they do fight or whatever happens, it's, let's see what happens. But, I caught that fight in between and whatever, the best that I could. But from what I remember, yes, if she was very impressive. I did like the way she was throwing punches. For being 4-0, her basics or her skills were superb.
No, absolutely. I mean, let me say this, okay? And I want to kind of show this on the screen here. All right. Look, I don't know what this says about women's boxing. 'Cause look, I'll admit it. I'm not this guru when it comes to women's boxing. Like, I don't follow it the way Ring IQ does, and I'm a dude that's catching up. I'll admit it straight up. Okay. But what does it say about women's boxing when this is one of your world champions? I mean, look, so this is Cecilia Roman, okay? She lost to Elloie Scotney, who's 4-0. She lost to Ebony Bridges, was 7-1, right? And then not long before that, she lost to Melissa Parker, who was 3-0. So like I don't know what that. I don't know if it's just an indictment on the Blonde Bomber. I don't know if it's more of an indictment on just women's boxing. I don't know, right? But this was definitely a weak link champion. So that's the main question to me. Like does it make the Blonde Bombers like title win a little less impressive to you? You know, do you take it for face value? Like, I mean, how do you take it in?
I mean, listen, man, boxing is opportunities too, right? I mean, she just happened to be the one that was holding that title, and Ebony got the opportunity to take it from her. I think that Ebony Bridges is a good fighter. I think she fights. I think she proved that she's more than just a pretty face with blue eyes, and I'm going to give her credit. Same as I'm going to give the young girl 4-0 for the credit for beating Cecilia the way she did wide on the cards. And look, man, one day I could be the same fighter, but you catch me on a wrong camp, or things were a little different. We don't know exactly what all the micros were in that camp for Cecilia, for her to have lost that wide on the cards. I didn't personally see the fight, so I won't talk too much on it, but I know that in boxing period, from one fight to another, it's just styles make fights. Things can be different. So I would have to look back and actually watch the fight so I could give you a better assessment, but that's the way it rolls.
Sure. And Beeb, just to kind of leave this topic, do you think maybe it's I got some background noise here, guys, but do you think that maybe this is like a case of the women are just getting better, like these 4-0 women, they're just better than these girls that were fighting before?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys don't have a lot of fights to begin with anyways. Like they're champions with 10 fights, 11 fights, 15 fights. So
a lot of these girls.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of women in each division, number one. And like I said, they haven't had a lot of fights. Like, how many fights has Ebony Bridges had? Like 12 or something? 11 or 12 or something
8.
like that? 8? Yeah, she's already a world champion. So
yeah, I think yeah.
It is what it is. I think the records are very deceiving, especially in this women's boxing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm just noticing that it's like a different. They're more athletic now. They're more athletes now because of the Olympics than they were then. Like it is what it is. So let's go ahead and proceed here. I'm going to be honest. I did not get to watch this fight. So if you guys didn't watch it, it's what it is. I know Beep watched it. So Joshua Buatsi edges Craig Richards. That's how the title was on ESPN. Is that an accurate title, Beep? Did he edge it out, or did he clearly win? How did you see it?
I thought he got off to a great start. I gave him the first 7 rounds of the fight. And then I thought Richards won 4 of the last 6, right? 4 of the last 6. And 4 of the last 5, excuse me. So yeah, I thought that Buatsi got off to a great start, like I said, but Richards kind of creeped back into the fight towards the end. And Richards had a good 12th round as well. I think he won the 11th and 12th round on my card. So he finished strong, right? And I think people are saying Buatsi kind of got tired and he wore himself down. I don't think that's the case. I just think Richards was kind of just letting the fight develop. And as he said, he was collecting data, but in the process of collecting data, he gave away a lot of the early rounds. But one thing I did like that Buatsi did was he had some shades of some of that Andre Ward inside fighting, making yourself small on the inside, bending the knees, stepping off to the side and creating those punching angles up close. And he did a phenomenal job on the inside, which is something I've never seen him do to that level of effectiveness. I just thought he looked really good on the inside. Thought his jab was really on point, and he hurt Richards a couple times in the fight. And I think there was 2 occasions where I thought Richards may have been going, and he could have gotten stopped. But credit to him, he hung in there. Like I said, I scored at 116 to 112. So I thought it was a competitive fight, but I think a lot of people are a little over critical of Buatsi in this fight. This was a 50-50 fight going in. That's what people billed it as. That was the perception. So because Buatsi didn't blow Richards out, let's not forget that Richards won like 5 rounds against Bivol. So that was another close fight for Richards. So did someone just think that I did pick Buatsi to win by stoppage, like a late stoppage. And he almost did get him out of there. But again, Richards is a quality fighter. He's a crafty guy. He knows how to throw feints. He's a good counter puncher. He's pretty slick. He's a stick and move guy from the outside. He likes to lull you in. Sometimes you think that he's not doing much, and once you get a little complacent in there, he surprises you with a sneaky shot. He'll just shoot a 1-2 down the middle, and then he'll kind of like slide back. You go and you follow him, and boom, catches you with the right hand counter. He's a crafty guy. He's a crafty guy. So I thought Buatsi was going to be in a tough fight with Richards, but I thought once he hit him with a good shot, he'd get him out of there. And credit to Richards, he hung in there. I mean, he was wobbled badly twice in the fight, and he hung in there, and he came back. So shout out to him.
Given the fact that I only gave Canelo 3 rounds against Bivol, 5's pretty good. I'm just saying.
One judge had the fight 115 or 114, so he scored one of the rounds even in that Bivol Richards fight. So
impressive.
It was a close fight.
George,
yeah,
get a chance to watch this fight?
Yeah, I actually did, man. Me and Julian did our breakdown in the morning. I predicted that this fight wouldn't go 12. I said that it would probably go maybe 5 or 6 with 3 knockdowns because the styles that they both come in with. Buatsi being a good inside fighter, having Andre Ward's old trainer in his corner. I can't even think of his name right now, but he had his somebody help me here.
Virtual Hunter.
Yeah, Virgil Hunter was in his corner, so you've seen some flashes of some Andre Ward, just like Beeb said on the inside. It was nice. He was doing a lot of pivoting. He was coming up a lot in like some blind spots on Richards that Richards wasn't able to capitalize early. But as the fight went on, well, early on, I actually had Buatsi winning pretty much most of the first half, going into like 6 or 7, but they were very close competitive rounds. I could see why some people thought Buatsi edged out against Richards, but again, a fight is judged round by round. It's not what this guy did in the first round, what this guy did in the second round. It's round by round. Once the round is over, that score is in the books, and it was scored that way. Buatsi put the points away the way he should. I'm pretty impressed. I know at the time when Bivol and Canelo happened, I heard there was even chances that Canelo could have fought the winner of these two. So, I mean, for that to be recognized or for him to be mentioned, kind of gives a little bit on who Buatsi and Richards were. Richards, having a good fight against Bivol. But here in this one, I was impressed. I didn't expect it to go 12 rounds. They did what they're supposed to. I thought, again, Buatsi, I'm not going to say edged it out, but he put away the rounds in there, which, could have given the effect to people where he barely pulled this off. But it was a good fight overall, man. I was impressed with Buatsi. I would like to see what his future is like.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What's going on, Calix?
What's good?
What's up? What's up? Hey, first of all, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but if you got to watch the Buatsi fight, you could let us. Okay, all right. Let us know about that and follow that up with your thoughts on Bumgarner against Makila Mayer.
Well, I don't have much to say about that fight, but what I would say is everybody's raving about it on Twitter. They keep tagging me.
That's a sexist remark. That's a sexist response.
I've been following women's boxing, but I still don't feel confident enough to speak on it. I can't speak technically about what these two do, how I feel the matchup is going, but I'm excited to watch it. And it adds to what we've been saying, D-Style, for about a year, talking about this, is female boxing needs the rivalries to grow the sport, and that's happening. and it's happening organically. So you're seeing more of these matchups happen, and it's growing the sport. So that's good to see. And I'll be tuned in. But as far as Buatsi versus Richards, I agree with Beeb. I had it 8-4, 8-116, 112. The thing about Richards, like Buatsi, in fairness, he was a pretty healthy favorite in this fight. He was minus 600 favorite in this fight, but Richards was one of those guys like you say. I almost pulled the trigger on betting Richards because that was too much value. He was plus 425. That was too much value, and you saw it on how this fight played out because a lot of those rounds were close. This could have tipped the other way had some of those close rounds went to Richards. But I like Buatsi. I like what's going on with him. He had some more intrigue to 175, and I like that some UK fighters are getting in the mix because Buatsi has a nice built-in audience out there. Like he's going to be another one of those UK guys who's going to draw, and it's going to add intrigue to these divisions. But it could have went either way. I just had it 116, 112. I thought Buatsi was doing the better work in those close rounds. And I think Beeb touched on it as well. Richards is a guy who did well against Bivol, and he actually did better than Canelo, ironically, in that fight. So that's what made him a healthy, like live dog. And I almost pulled the trigger on Richards. And if you're betting, like these DAZN cards, they've been good for the underdogs. Like the past two Friday fights, both the underdogs, like big underdogs, pulled off the upset. So if you're looking for upset value and upsets, these DAZN cards, especially like on Friday, they're sneaky. They're sneaky. But Richards almost pulled it off too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, and really quick, Alex, just because I know you did a video about it, but just really quick, Triple G versus Canelo.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, D-Style. I would have much rather it as a fan, and I said it after the fight. Like, I could understand if Canelo was going to go straight to the immediate rematch because when they asked Canelo about it after the fight, he said, this can't end like this. And I understand as a competitor. I think we all could. But I said as a fan, I want him to steer clear of Bivol, at least right now. I think there are better fights out there to be made for Bivol in particular at 175. I don't buy this notion that Canelo bit off more than he could chew at 175. Like I think Canelo, you can still make the argument that his ceiling at 175 may be number two. The problem is he picked on the wrong 175 pounder. And I think even if Bivol goes down to 168 and fights him in a rematch, I still think it would be a tough fight for him. So I think he just picked the wrong stylistic matchup for him. And I would much rather see Bivol fight the winner of Beterbiev versus Joe Smith Jr. And I'd much rather see Canelo fight Triple G in the trilogy. And for all the people out there saying that Triple G is 40, he's old, I'm telling you, man, these guys could fight 10 times and it'll be 10 bloody.
It's like a Marquez Pacquiao, in your opinion? Like that's what it is?
Marquez Pacquiao 3. Like it's reminiscent of Pacquiao Marquez 3. Everybody's saying, "Oh, Marquez is old. Marquez can't translate to 147. Pacquiao is a different beast at 147." I'm telling you. And then we saw how the fourth fight.
You know, we need Calix. We need you to walk Beeb off the ledge right now. You know what I mean?
Remember Calix hated the Pacquiao Marquez fight?
Yeah, like you guys are like you.
We're like direct opposites on this one. Remember? I was like, Calix, no, man, no, this is gonna be a great fight.
And it was. And Marquez won that fight. Marquez won that third fight. He did. But yeah, I like the fight though because entertainment value. Even if Canelo wins it clearly, which many people think he will. Let's say Canelo wins 9-10 rounds in this fight. I don't see either guy knocking each other out. I think they both have granite chins, and it's still going to be fun. It's still going to be fun. So it'll be entertaining, and I'm hoping that he sticks to the original plan for this year. Golovkin in September. I think the Ryder fight will be fun because it'll be in UK. He'll sell out a soccer stadium, and then Canelo and Benavidez look like they're on a collision course for 2023, and I'm sure y'all talked about that already. But that's the plan I want for him. I just want to steer clear of Bivol. I don't think that's a good move, but it's gonna happen.
Man, what are you gonna say, Beeb?
So I'm gonna say a lot of people are saying that, or were saying that Canelo is gonna knock GGG out in this third fight, but now I hear a lot of people changing their tune. I don't think Calix ever thought that was the case, but now a lot of people are kind of saying this is going to be more competitive than they originally thought because of what happened in the Bivol fight. Mm-hmm. You know, I have a feeling that Bivol fight is never going to happen. I don't think he's going to fight Bivol ever again. I think, you know, I think they'll kind of think their way through it and not want to go back in there again. I think Eddie Reynoso is a smart guy. He's good with the X's and O's. I think Eddie Hearn's kind of a good businessman too. And he doesn't want to lose this golden goose, right? So I think Calix is right. You probably will get that John Ryder fight. John Ryder, I think, will be the WBA mandatory at that time. So they can kind of sell that as a mandatory fight that they can't avoid, right?
Right.
And then Canelo will be free and clear. And then, as Calix said again, at that particular time, then we'll probably get that Benavidez fight.
Yeah, and Beeb, I don't imagine how appealing $55 million to fight John Ryder in the UK is. Like, I mean, John Ryder he's number 7 in the rankings, overall rankings right now. So he's a top 7, 8.
He's a top 10 dude.
Yeah, he is. He is. So that's good. But he's much easier than the other names they're throwing out there. So imagine how appealing that is. $55 million, and then you're going to sell out a soccer stadium in the UK because those guys will watch Canelo fight just some random dude off the street. They'll show up out there. Like Canelo's going to sell out a soccer stadium out there.
Absolutely.
And then he'll finally be fighting a guy who's the same height as him, just about.
Yeah. Hey, Alex Doomsday Buatsi. What you think, brother?
Yeah, nah, man. You know, I got a chance right now to kind of look at it. Long ass freaking highlight they got, but damn, man, I'm mad that I missed that fight. You know, there was a lot of talk when Buatsi first came on the scene, like he was the next best thing to sliced bread from UK, and there's a lot of excitement. But Richards did okay. He did all right. I mean, he didn't win the fight, but he really had Buatsi on a stanky leg on that 8th round. He caught him with a good uppercut.
Yeah.
And you see him immediately, Buatsi, he was better in tactics and immediately try to hold. And Richards has good range in his punches. I think that's what helped him out a lot in this fight. He had a good jab too. He was able to keep Buatsi busy and thinking as he was throwing his punches. But Buatsi managed to pull it off. I think that he comfortably won those 8-4. I don't know who mentioned which one of you guys mentioned that, but yeah, comfortably from what I saw in the highlights, he was putting in a lot of work, but Richards, made him work for it, man. He really made him work for that.
Hey, look, absolutely, man. Well said. I just want to add this about Canelo Bivol, and I think it's a reality that maybe a lot of Canelo fans, like myself, look, I'm a Canelo fan, right? But I think the realization of this, Floyd Patterson just couldn't beat Liston. Whatever the reason, he just couldn't beat him, right? Barrera versus Junior Jones. Whatever it was, he just couldn't beat Junior Jones, okay? Shane Mosley versus Vernon Forrest.
Yes.
Mosley just couldn't beat the Viper. The Viper, Ricardo Mayorga. It didn't make sense on paper, but for whatever reason, he couldn't beat Ricardo Mayorga. De La Hoya Mosley, for whatever reason, he couldn't get a W over Mosley.
Mosley, Winky Wright.
Mosley versus Winky Wright. Hopkins versus Dawson. Tater versus Pavlik, right? They just ran into a guy that for whatever reason, right? We don't have time to go through the X's and O's, but they just couldn't beat that guy. So I want to ask an impromptu question to the panel. Is Bivol just that dude that Canelo just going to have to just say, you know what? This is just a stop I can't get past. This is just a roadblock. I'm going to have to do a detour here, like, period. Beeb, is he just that dude to Canelo?
He's the kryptonite, my friend. He's the kryptonite. for Canelo.
It's kryptonite. Okay.
He's that red sun for Superman. Remember when you put Superman in that red sun chamber? That's what Bivol is right now. He's the red sun chamber.
Hey, Doomsday, is he just that dude? Do you think he should just move on, or what do you think?
A guy like Canelo, man, there's a lot of ego, there's a lot of pride. He doesn't want, he doesn't want to let it go so easily, But should he let it go? I mean, look, man, Bivol's not getting any worse. I think the next fight, he also, he's asking for a better contract. Being as though that in this fight, he said basically like they gave Canelo's camp anything they wanted, like anything you want. This is an opportunity for me. So, the contract's not going to get worse for Bivol; it's going to get better. So there's a lot of factors in this that'll tell you like, hey man, just you did what a lot of guys aren't doing. You're risking your record, and you just came up short. And you didn't come up short because, you were any less of a skilled fighter. You didn't have the cojones. You weren't strong enough. No, I mean, you fought a good fight and you just lost to a guy that just is a natural light heavyweight. He's a natural. He's what is Bivol walking around like, And I know he stays in shape, but he's got to be 190 at the very
At the most. Yeah, he's not that big. He's not as big as people think he is.
They're saying he's run at like 184, 185.
I've always said Benavidez is bigger than him. I've always said that.
And that, yeah, you make a good point there because I know we're gonna roll into that one next, D. But we got to see what the size can do in the Lemieux fight. But I won't get started just yet. So sure. I'll tell Canelo, man, listen, man, you did your thing. Forget about it.
Hey George, what do you think, brother?
Yeah,
is that kryptonite, or do you think like what do you think?
Yeah, it definitely is that kryptonite, and I would say stay away. Even if Bivol wants to come down to 168, I mean, I'm not gonna say it would be embarrassing if he was to lose at 168, but like, how do you come back from if you were to lose again and you lose your belts at 168, where you have all the belts and you're the best at. I mean, it was obviously tough for the hardcores and to see kind of lose like that, but it's just what it is. It is what it was. Bivol was the better, bigger man. He had everything going for him. He trained perfectly for whatever Canelo brought to the table. He didn't have a plan B. He fought off the first plan that he had was, use his footwork, and I think people kind of overlook. I feel like Bivol's footwork gets overlooked. I mean, if we want to compare Bivol and Benavidez, if you say Benavidez is a bigger guy, I feel like Bivol has the better footwork. If that were out of the two.
Touching real quick back on it, George, because I did forget that they did mention that Bivol would he would go down, and I forgot that Bivol himself said it like, yeah, like that's my weight too, like I can get down there.
Yeah,
and I mean, look, if we get one of these master contracts written up from Canelo's side where it's like stipulation here, stipulation there, and like they could work the odds against Bivol in some sort of way, rehydration clause, whatever. I think that Canelo can have a chance. How much is really 7 pounds? I mean, it all depends on what you're walking around in, how you're training, how you living. But I think that he has more of a chance there. And if the contract's right, a lot of people like to talk shit. Canelo puts the contracts in a certain way where he gets the advantage. But when you're when you're giving millions to your opponent, you kind of get that privilege. But yeah, man, I forgot he did mention that. So I don't know. I think I'd give him a chance with Bivol at 168. I think that he lost at that weight, and I wouldn't want him to go to back up that weight and face Bivol. I think if he came back down, that's a whole nother story for me. Mm-hmm. I really do think so. I think that he gave up that advantage, and Bivol's not going to give up so much, obviously, because he's a bigger guy and he's not coming down that much. But he'll be giving up some endurance, I think, and stamina. He'd have to work a little different to keep that same stamina up. I mean, I don't know how they would do it. They would just go into it. I don't know. Maybe he's training right now, you know. But you would need a longer camp than your usual whatever you would do in order to get down to 175. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah, and then I want to kind of add to that. Maybe Canelo does what he did, at 175. He didn't give him a rehydration clause, to show, hey, you know what, I could beat him at his ultimate best. And if we make this fight at 168, yeah, we might think, what, he's the A side, he could do whatever he wants. Maybe he does the same thing where he's like, you know what, I want the best Bivol. I don't want people saying, hey, you threw a rehydration clause on him. You pretty much, got him to where you want to beat him. And this isn't the first time Bivol has mentioned wanting to fight for a championship belt at 168. He also wanted to come after Pascal, so obviously he knows something there that he can, he can compete and be himself at 168. But again, I think it's the kryptonite. It's what it is. Yeah. Bivol was the better big man, and I think that is what would beat a Canelo, right? A better, bigger man, and I think that was Bivol.
Hey, I know. Before I go to Galaxy, it says Canelo slipped a lot of Bivol's punches. Not sure why people they refuse to acknowledge that. Look, I can't speak for anybody else, but I did see Canelo slip and roll a lot of Bivol shots, and it looks beautiful in the highlights. But even in the highlights, Canelo never makes him pay. Mm-hmm. Like I get it. They're like, oh, he threw 10 punches and only 2 landed. But Canelo landed 0, Bivol landed 2. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I get it, but it is what it is. Calix, is this just like a Junior Jones to Barrera? You get it. Forrest to Mosley. Is that what this is to you, or do you think? Or what do you think?
I think so. And Mosley came to mind for me because he had 2 guys like that, Vernon Forrest and Winky Wright, and it likely is. But I just keep going back to this. I would like to see Canelo go with the regular plan and kind of steer away, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to fight Bivol again. I don't know what weight it's going to be at. And there is that part of me that says Canelo is a great fighter that can make adjustments. We'll see. However, we just mentioned Shane Mosley. There are examples littered throughout boxing history of a guy, a big-time A fighter who goes in as a big favorite against somebody, and then we find out stylistically it was the wrong matchup for that guy. That guy may not be a greater fighter, but stylistically, head-to-head, he's the better fighter because the matchup is all wrong. The style is all wrong. And that could be the case likely for Canelo versus Bivol. And the thing about those examples is when they lose that first fight, they can't avoid that second fight. They just can't. That competitor in them is going to bring – you ever seen the movie Heat with Robert De Niro? He just could not avoid that last job. He could have rode off into the sunset, flew away, and lived on a private island for the rest of his days, multi-millionaire, but he had to do that last job, D-style. And that's the competitor. You have to go and try to avenge that loss. And Canelo's going to try to avenge that loss. He's going to fight Bivol again. And if it's Canelo versus Bivol too, I would pick Bivol.
Hey, well, there you go. Look, I do think it's very likely, and there's one key factor. Usually when it's the jab that gives the guy problems, it's very rare that guy comes back and overcomes that, right? Forrest's jab was giving Mosley problems. With Barrera, it was the jab of Junior Jones that was giving him problems. And that is, when a guy has you timed with his fucking jab, it's hard to overcome that. It just is, right? It's not impossible, but I like the word Calix uses. It's the more probable situation is that he's got his number, but we will see. We will see. Let's get to the fight everybody wants to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we're talking about all these topics. What people really want to talk about is the fight, okay? Mayweather beats more, and he has fun while doing it. He grabs look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I enjoyed this fight. He grabbed the ring card girls thing. He walked around with a round. He was talking to the commentators. He was telling Kenny Bayless how to do his job. It actually, you know what? I felt good for Floyd because he was having fun doing it at Moore's expense, but I'm sure Moore got paid handsomely. I don't think it's any different to what Moore was used to when they were sparring in the Mayweather gym. This time he just got paid for it. Alex Doomsday. I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of the highlights or whatnot. It doesn't look like it happened in the helipad. Apparently, there's a lot of pollution out there in the sky. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, man, Floyd was having fun in there. Is it still a joke to you? Are you happy for Floyd? Are you sad for Floyd? Do you feel sorry for him? How do you feel about it?
Yo, man, listen, Floyd's out there having a blast, man. He was kicking that boy's ass and having fun doing it. It didn't happen in the helipad. I was really looking forward to that. I think that was one of like the things that I was like, all right, I'm gonna get to see that fucking cool ass ring in the fucking air like that. And I didn't get it, but Floyd's doing what Floyd does, kicking ass and getting paid. And just another addition to the exhibitions that get garnering millions.
And by the way, Doomy, he said he has another secret opponent. Could it be Manny Pacquiao in Dubai, or a rematch of Logan Paul? What do you think? I don't know. Who will he fight?
No way he's gonna fight Manny Pacquiao. Matter of fact, I don't even think. How's Manny Pacquiao doing, man? I mean, Ugas had him eating porridge, after that fight. It was pretty bad. So I don't know who's the secret opponent, dude. This, Mayweather. I mean, Mayweather could fight anybody on the eastern side of the hemisphere and get paid
I'll
millions.
fight him. Give me $1 million, I'll fight him.
Like, he can fight anybody in 10 mil, whatever mil. He's, did you see his shopping spree? He probably didn't pay for any of that. That was all on the house. Like, man, go to the mall and go spend. Man. God damn, you guys didn't see. Well, there was a whole bunch of little.
The love handles are real, though. I'll say that.
The what?
The love handles, like, they're real.
What? Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah.
You seriously thought that he was fat?
I mean, compared to what we're used to, yeah, he's a retired guy.
He was fuller. What weight was that fight anyway?
I have no idea.
Because I know he wasn't a solid 147 on that.
It was money weight.
It was money.
It says cruiserweight.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm looking at boxing scene. It says in a cruiserweight contest.
No way.
Holy fuck. Mayweather.
I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Take that back. I lied.
He looked like a cruiserweight, according to D-Style and shit.
No, it was Badu Jack actually fought in that card too. I'm sorry, I finished reading that, but I mean, shit, he might as well.
I wouldn't put it past him if he was like 160 or something like that. But he was full.
He was shredded, man. Please.
No, but according to D-Style, he was eating a lot of bread.
Come on, man.
He's got a lot of bread.
Bro, but he was you said it right. He was having a lot of fun, bro. He was having a lot of fun. He was holding the ring card. He was talking. He was
he's ready to go in.
When you're a fighter, bro, it's like you love it, And look, he's loving it in retirement. You know how many? There's very few fighters, if any, that have done and are doing what he's doing, man. It just continues to surprise me, and people really, really watch the fights. It's something. It's a spectacle. And he's making money. He's making money after the retirement, and fighting. We're not talking. He's not a real estate agent. He's not out there. And if he is, he has investments, right? He has the right people handling that side of the business. But he's still making money, kicking ass. So yeah, kudos to him.
Hey, Joe. I don't want to lead the witness, but hey, he did look like he genuinely was having fun. Like it genuinely looked that way, but what do you make of it? And then after you go, Alex, go ahead.
I thought it was fight of the year, man. If I'm being honest. That's all I could say. I mean, it was a classic. That body shot he landed.
Oh man, and he kept chasing it. The guy didn't know how to block that fucking punch. He was like.
But I thought Dangerous Don Moore. I thought he was like undefeated. He was giving Floyd problems in sparring. Isn't this Dangerous Don Moore we're talking about?
Alex, I don't even know. I'm sorry, I don't know who Don Moore is. Like you guys are telling me he's supposed to be the next best thing since sliced bread. I didn't know who he was. I'm like, who's Don Moore? Like, why is he in there with Floyd?
I didn't either, and I'm proud to say I still to this day, been following boxing for decades. I've still never seen an exhibition match.
Hey.
I didn't even watch Roy versus Mike Tyson.
Add me to that list.
Like exhibition matches are so like out of what they're not what I follow. But I was
I thought,
I
I
was
thought it
looking
was
forward to
classic.
seeing the highlights of Floyd if he was going to fight on that helipad. Now they postponed it because one of the kings or something died on the eve of the
Wow.
fight, and then they didn't put it on the helipad because of the air pollution out there, and they had to put it in an arena last minute. I wanted to see what I wanted to see when I saw a helipad. When I saw the word helipad, I wanted to see Floyd do the first ever ring entrance on a helicopter, in a helicopter. Like
Oh, that
just
shit would have been dope.
wouldn't that have been awesome? Like he
Um,
comes in a helicopter and then he
Hell
just walks out of the helicopter onto the ring in the helipad. That's what I wanted to see. That's the only reason I was interested in this. But then they do it in an arena, and Dangerous Don Moore ain't so dangerous. So
That would have been something to see, though, right? Him coming landing in on a
the
helicopter.
heli-
I was looking for it too, man. I was looking forward to see
helipad
what.
sold. I was sold.
Yeah, I
And-
think everybody was sold on that.
And you're right, Callie. I mean, look, I'm not the guy who's chasing the exhibitions. I usually catch them later on the social media, and it's something good to talk about. I'm not really like, oh, I gotta see this. But the helipad, that was it. I was like, shit, that's gonna look fuck. I could imagine the production because I'm thinking about the production side, and I'm like, yeah, and nada. Just got
No.
Floyd holding the ring card.
but Floyd's gonna be 80 years old, still fighting exhibition matches, and I'm sticking to my prediction, D-Style. By 2025, Floyd will fight in space against somebody. He will fight in space. He will be the first fighter to fight in space. Look, the guy from Star Trek that's 91 years old, what's his name? William Shatner, just went to space. If a 91-year-old can go to space, fighters who are in good shape can go to space. And Floyd's going to fight on the space station against another fighter. Book it by 2025. Might be
Bro,
against Pacquiao.
Calix just went
Alright.
SpaceX on us and shit.
Man.
Promoted by Elon Musk.
So that's why they created Space Force to get Floyd to the moon.
That's
Hey,
right.
but hey, George, quick thoughts on it, brother.
Yeah, my quick thoughts. I'm with Calix on that, man. I hear about all the exhibitions. I catch the highlights after, or I try to go to Facebook Live. Maybe someone is streaming it. I've not caught one live, but I usually catch the highlights. But I mean, shit, Floyd is making money off of it. I mean, you can't knock the dude's hustle. He's doing exceptionally well. Yeah, if he's successful at it, why not? I mean, keep doing it. And I think I didn't think this. You were gonna say the space. I was thinking you were gonna say we will see a Pacquiao and Mayweather exhibition. I think.
Okay.
Do you think he'll go back to the WWE?
Why not?
That'd be great.
Bloodsport arena.
But I actually think SummerSlam Fury, like for some reason, like really wants to have a match at SummerSlam. Like I don't know why, but like he does, like, but it's whatever. He's retired, I guess, right? So he gets to go to, you know what I mean? Like he won't fight Usyk, but he wants McIntyre like at SummerSlam.
I mean, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame pretty soon, so don't worry about it, man. It's all set.
Hey, a quick yes or no. Do me, is Floyd Mayweather broke?
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, look, man, you get he owes the Paul. I mean, the what is it?
IRS?
The IRS. No, Jake Paul is really the one that, or Logan Paul. He owes money. We've heard this before, right? But he's still out there shopping sprees, Ferraris, Bugattis,
Rented. They're rented.
Whatever you want to call it. All right. He's taking. All right. Let's say they rented. He's taking flights. He's taking private airplane. Come on.
Rented.
He's got money, man. He's got money. If he's not paying you, it's because he don't want to pay you.
Man.
All right. He should have never snatched my fucking hat. Now you gotta pay. You thought that shit was funny? Yeah.
All right. Hey, Beeb, is he broke?
He's got no cash, man. He's not liquid. He's all assets. He's all assets, man.
Come on, man.
A lot of that shit he still owes money on too.
Ask Warren. That's his buddy Warren Buffett if he doesn't have liquid.
Damn. Okay, Calix, is he broke or not?
Nostalgia.
Beat the fifth. What?
I don't know, but B, what was Floyd's record after that Logan Paul fight? What was his record?
He's 50-1.
That's right.
It's not official. It's not, it doesn't count.
He lost that Logan Paul fight.
Ivan Drago's win didn't count against Apollo because it was an exhibition, and Logan Paul's win over Floyd don't count either.
What are you guys doing? This is supposed to be an exhibition.
Isn't that what Leonard Ellerby did to Logan? Like, did he yell at him
That's right.
with his big nose? It's an exhibition. Like, but anyway, Georgie, is he broke or not? Or did he plead the fifth?
Man, it's hard to say if he's broke or not. I think he just has really expensive habits that he's trying to keep up on. You know, I mean, he's about to lose Tank Davis, right? I mean, who else is his next fighter?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe he's trying to make a little extra money. Maybe he knew already Tank's last fight would, he wouldn't re-sign. So maybe he's trying to make a little extra cash. I don't know, but I don't think he's broke. I just think he has expensive habits. And he's just trying to keep up with. I mean, he gambles a lot. We know that. He likes to throw a lot of money. I know he's like 1 in 10 betting against Canelo. So
Absolutely.
I think he'd be faking those too. Like he'll bet for Canelo and then he'll put like a little 10 stack, for him.
Yeah.
10 stack
There's a lot of
bet.
straddles. There's a lot of straddles going on, Doomy.
Oh yeah, he's
Too
hedging.
many straddles. Too many straddles. Too many straddles. All right, guys, let's talk. Again, you got to tune into Aftermath. Look, man, let's just get to it. David Benavidez. Images, of course, by Ali Bose. she took the pictures for Showtime. Shout out to her. Everybody, you guys got to start giving credit to the photographers out there, man, grinding. You know what I mean? Putting their heads under his apron, taking his pictures. Look, Benavidez, the Mexican monster. Okay, first of all, Mexican monster wouldn't even, let me tell you something. If these style boxing would have come out here and be like, David Benavidez is the Mexican monster, everybody would look at me, okay, whatever, right? But since Mike Tyson said it, you know what I mean? It just sounds cool. Like he's the Mexican monster. You know what I mean? Like he was supposed to call me that, by the way, right? But he never did. He said he gave it to David Benavidez. So I want to talk about that. George, I'm going to start with you, brother.
okay.
First of all, the Mexican monster, La Bandera Roja. David Benavidez goes out there and he just destroys this mentals. David Lemieux. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts. The Mexican monster is El Cucuy. Am I correct?
El Cucuy. Yeah, El Cucuy.
No, you could say that, yeah.
Or La Llorona, whatever.
Somebody told me that the song Inner Sandman by Metallica is about David Benavidez. You saw the feature, but maybe, you know what I'm saying.
My thoughts on the fight. I guess pre-fight prediction. I'm not saying Lemieux had a chance. I'm with everybody. He did not have a chance, but I would say that he had a really slight puncher's chance because, I mean, power usually kind of stays with you for a little while. He's won since he lost to Triple G, I think was his last loss. But, I mean, he was just overmatched. I mean, the odds were freaking crazy. I don't think I've ever seen him that separate or that far apart. As far as, people saying he's going to beat Canelo, I mean, we see it all over Twitter. We see it all over Instagram, Facebook. They're saying, he's going to beat Canelo, the haters, this, and that. I mean, it's hard to say because he beat Lemieux. I mean, who has Benavidez fought that has a similar style to Canelo, right? I mean, if we're going to compare as well, Bivol is a big fighter. That's kind of a similar fighter, I guess, to Benavidez to Canelo. But, I mean, I guess I was impressed with the knockout. It was pretty ugly. I didn't think it was going to end that soon. I knew it was going to be brutal. He passed the eye test. He did really well. Again, if that fight was to happen down the line, I think the footwork probably would be a little improvement. I think when Lemieux was trying to step up and trying to throw some shots, he looked a little flat-footed. I don't know. I didn't like the way he was stepping back, but I mean, overall, Benavidez, he did what he was supposed to against an opponent like Lemieux.
Absolutely. Hush, little baby, don't say a word, and never mind that noise you heard. It's just a beast under your bed, in your closet, in the ring. Exit. But anyway, Calix, he beat the veteran Game David Lemieux. He's a beast. We gotta have that MMA fans mentality now. You know what I mean? We gotta think more that way. It makes the sport sound better, bigger, badder. You know what I'm just saying? I mean, over there, Cowboy Cerrone could be in a 4-fight losing streak. They could put him in there with like freaking like Conor McGregor. They'd be like, "Oh, this guy's a beast. Cowboy's a beast, bro." I'm saying.
I'm in UFC country, so believe me, I know. And good for them. They don't throw their fighters under the bus after a loss like we do. But Benavidez, the Mexican Monster, that's not as cool of a nickname as I gave Zepeda, the Mexican Murder Hornet, by the way. But still a cool nickname. It's still getting him some eyeballs. And look, Lemieux was a huge underdog. Benavidez was a minus 2,000 favorite for a reason. Vegas did not see this fight going past 4 rounds. They predicted that this fight was going to be stopped within the first 4 rounds. So what happened on Saturday night is what was supposed to happen, and give Benavidez credit for doing what he should have done, doing what he was supposed to do. But I don't think we should be overpraising Benavidez for what he did Saturday. Lemieux is a guy who's a natural middleweight. He's a guy later on in his career without a weight class, can't make 160, doesn't have the pop at 168. His one big weapon throughout his career was the punching power. And at 168, that's pretty much gone. And by the way, Lemieux is a guy who has fought through several injuries the past couple of years as well. So he's been injury prone. So he's just not the guy. And you saw it as far as the first big punch he took, his legs just weren't there. And credit to him for fighting a brave, courageous fight, because he was throwing with bad intentions while he was out. But all that being said, Benavidez looked the part as Benavidez always looks the part, right? The talent, the eye test, he passes it with flying colors, right? He passes it with flying colors. The thing that's most impressive to me about Benavidez is how he can throw those short shots with that lanky body. Like Lemieux was on the inside, and Benavidez gladly gave up that range, and he was still tagging Lemieux with those short shots. He's a skilled, explosive offensive fighter. And that brings me to my point as far as Canelo. Canelo versus Benavidez is going to be fireworks. And for the people out there who think that Canelo Benavidez is going to play out like Canelo Bivol, it's not. Benavidez is not going to fight that fight. He's not capable of fighting that fight, that defensive style against Canelo. That's going to be fireworks. Both guys are offensive minded. Both guys are going to go in there with bad intentions, and that's going to be fireworks. But Canelo is going to land a lot of shots on Benavidez. What I want to see in that fight is, can Benavidez go 12 rounds? And if so, it's going to be a close fight on the scorecards because both guys are going to be doing good things offensively. But I like what Benavidez's team said after the fight. Let's fight again in November. They want the guys like Plant, Andre, Charlo. Here's the problem. That's not going to happen. The reason it's not going to happen is Al Heyman is positioning himself at 168 to use all these guys as pawns to entice Canelo to sign a multi-fight deal with PBC in 2023. That's what's happening. Andrade may go to the PBC. That's what everybody's saying. Plant's already there. 160 Charlo, soon to be 168 Charlo, is going to be there at 168. And I mentioned Andrade, and now we got Benavidez. Those 4 guys, or 3, because Plant already got the shot, are going to be used as leverage to get Canelo to fight sign a multi-fight deal in 2023. So Al Heyman is not going to use these guys, not going to let these guys fight against each other. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. So all these people out there saying, oh, we're going to get the big fight next in November, it's not going to happen. The only guy expendable right now is Caleb Plant. So could we see Benavidez versus Caleb Plant? Possibly. But Andrade and Benavidez aren't going to fight each other. Charlo Benavidez not going to fight each other. Benavidez has the WBC mandatory right now, but let's not act like that's a big tool. That's worth about what this paper is worth right here. And I know Canelo values the WBC, but that's not going to dictate what happens in 2023 at 168. There are 2 people who are going to dictate what happens at 168 in 2023. That's Canelo and Al Heyman. and that's it. These other guys don't have control of their career. Canelo is the only one who does, and Al Heyman has the control of the rest of these guys' careers. But I want to see Canelo versus Benavidez. I think it's inevitable. It's a collision course, and what a fight that would be at 168. And it's the two best guys at 168. I've seen enough with the eye test for Benavidez. He beats Plant. He beats Billy Joe Saunders. He would beat 160, 168 Charlo, and he would beat Andre. Like, Benavidez is that guy. If somebody's going to beat Canelo at 168, it would be Benavidez. But I would still slightly favor Canelo in that fight.
Absolutely. Hey, John Thunder, I appreciate it. It says Canelo never steps into the ring, in my opinion. The risk of getting stopped by a Mexican will ruin his reputation. Man. Hey, Doomy, talk to us, brother. Talk to us. Like what? Like what did you make of his performance against Lemieux, the veteran? What?
Yeah,
What?
I got you.
Did I say something not true or what?
Listen, listen, Linda. Come on, man. What are you asking me? Are you asking me to give you my assessment of what I think?
Yeah, just what's your assessment of it? If you're not impressed, you're not impressed. Whatever it is, what you make of it?
I'm gonna focus just on what this fight was. All right, it's David Benavidez versus David Lemieux. Now, I'm gonna ask you guys a fair question. How many of you guys thought that David Lemieux really had a shot at beating David Lemieux? Excuse me, at beating David Benavidez?
Nobody.
Nobody.
No, nobody did. No.
This fight was exactly what David Benavidez said. He was the only one who had the balls or the necessity, to take this fight. And that's the credit.
David Lemieux lets him hang. You know what I mean? Like, he's been letting him hang ever since he fought like Gennady Golovkin. And like, nobody wants to fight him. You just let him hang. Like, I'll fight him. No, I'm just saying.
Listen, he had the cojones to step up. Obviously, David Benavidez, bro. Did you see how tall David Benavidez was? Next to, it was like Ivan Drago versus Rocky all over again. It was advantage after advantage, but you got to give David Lemieux his props. He was in there throwing fucking bombs after he was rattled a few times. He didn't go into the night so easily. You know what I mean? He raged as much as he could. And I'm gonna give him his credit for being just that, somebody that didn't want to just give up. He got fucked up, and you could just pick out so many good attributes, and I actually got to see some holes too in David Benavidez's game. From a coach's perspective.
Yeah.
You guys probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? It was just such a dominant performance. But when you start to pick certain little things out, and I'll mention them on here because if I don't, people are just gonna rage at me and talk shit. But you got to see his range work very well for him. This is what David Benavidez does. He likes to, and you guys, with a guy with like David Lemieux is a perfect example, right? And I'm gonna go into the holes with this one. What I saw that could be, something that could work against him. If you ever see him, he starts to pick these shots, and he lunges forward. Snapping his jab or snapping a right hand, and these are the linear punches, and I think that he does it in that fashion because he knows that he's going to get to the target first. Like, if let's say me and you, Calix, throw a jab for jab, if your reach is 78 and mine's is 68, we all know that if we go jab for jab 9 out of 10 times, you're going to jab me in the face first. And I think that this is something of a confidence that David Benavidez has built into his fights, and he that can work against him if you counter him on those pop shots that he throws, because he really leans into him with his head also. And I think that if you time it right, he can get hit. But other than that I picked out, because I like to not just look at the fights and look at look at all the good things. I like to kind of like pick them apart and see what could happen if he doesn't, kind of show more diversity in his game in there. But he showed definitely a lot. He showed good inside game. His uppercuts are fucking lethal. He has a lot of energy to hit you with like a killer instinct combo. There you go, D-Style. What the hell was that? It reminded me of the time where Gervonta Davis was uppercutting the guy, and he was just, Pez heading his ass like boom, 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 boom. And he's fucking really good at that. So, David Benavidez, Cal, as you said it, he's the goods. he's definitely a problem for any of those guys. And what I like about David is that he's willing to fight anybody. He's just like, step up to the plate. And I think that more than anything, and any of these guys would give him that opportunity or solidify him as a number one candidate for that golden ticket, with Canelo, because he's willing to fight anybody. He's not, oh, did you take a vaccination? Oh, did you do this? So, none of that stupid shit that kind of hear from some of the other fighters.
Because only Charlo asks for that.
Yeah, I mean, look, do I got to say a name? No. I mean, we all know who's talking the talk and who's walking the walk, and David Benavidez he just put him in front of me. Put him in front of me, and he's a danger for any of those guys. And I'm going to give him against Canelo a very good chance, but I still think that I got to see him in there with a higher level opponent before I give him the bendición.
The Mexican monster. So he's not that too yet.
He's a monster, and he's doing what he needs to do with the opponents that are being put in front of him. But he needs to be given a chance with one of the real top dogs, top 5 guys.
Gotcha. Babe, what you make of the Mexican monster and his performance in the ring with David Lemieux?
Well, when fighters like David Benavidez have these types of fights, it's easy to have like a letdown. It's easy to get complacent. And a lot of people thought David Lemieux was going to get stopped, but did anyone really pick him to get stopped in 3 rounds? I mean, so he took him out early. He went out there to try to make a statement, send a message to everyone out there. And I think he did that. I think he fought a flawless performance. And obviously, David Lemieux is not the best opponent for him at this particular time. But like I said, he got him out of there quick and did not let this be a potential banana peel, because let's face it, David Lemieux can punch. So if he does make contact with David Benavidez, he could hurt him. And I thought David Benavidez was really catching the shots well. His defense was tight. So he made sure he didn't make any mistakes, and he got the job done. So that's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, look, I mean, Lemieux's like a top 3 win in the career of Gennady Golovkin. Like, I'm just putting that out there. Like, I'm just name me 5 dudes that Gennady Golovkin beat in his illustrious Hall of Fame career better than Lemieux. I'll wait. Like, for anybody out there. Name me 3 dudes that Billy Joe Saunders beat better than David Lemieux. I'll wait. Like, I'll patiently wait, ladies and gentlemen. Like, now, granted, I'm not saying Lemieux's in his prime, but I do believe people are getting out of hand when they're saying things like Lemieux shot. He's a shot fighter. I just don't know. He's not shot. Like, I see. You want to see shot? Go watch Vasquez Marcus 4. If you want to see a shot fighter, right? You go watch Ali against Larry Holmes or Trevor Burbick if you want to see a shot fighter. Okay, like that's what I would say. Okay, and I wouldn't even recommend watch those fights. They're sad to watch, to be honest. But with that said, Lemieux's always been that dude that's going to get hurt with a big shot. Rubio knocked him out early in his career. Like, it's not like he was a spring chicken back then, I just think this was the best available. Like, we're saying, hey, stay active, right? He is being active. Right? He's staying active. He wasn't supposed to fight that dude. Like, people forget, he was supposed to fight Ustadiki. Ustadiki got busted, right? He tested positive for performance enhancers, so they found a replacement for him because he wanted to stay active. So I don't want to be like, oh, why'd you fight that dude? Well, he fought whoever they had available at that time. And who was available? It wasn't going to be Charlo. It wasn't going to be any of these guys. But I just got to disagree with one thing, Calix. The walls are closing in on PBC. Like, they got to start producing fights. The walls are closing in. Like where are the Fox fights? Fox Sports 1, Fox T. Like, where are they? Like, they're not putting them on anymore. Showtime at some point is going to be like, yo, we need these fights. Like, I do think Al Heyman's going to give them Benavidez versus Caleb Plant.
Well,
I had a dream that
right. Caleb Plant's expendable because he already fought Canelo, so I could see that. But I think Al Heyman is going to play this safe and try to have these 3 pawns to lure Canelo to the table, because Canelo's like LeBron James. I said it earlier. LeBron James will sign a 2 to 3 year deal and say, everybody come to the table, give me your best offers. And Canelo does the same thing, 2 to 3 fight deal. Everybody come back to the table once that deal is fulfilled. And when Canelo comes back to the table in early 2023, Al Heyman wants to be able to bring Benavidez, Andrade, and 168 Charlo to the table. 55 million, 55 million, 55 million. And if that is the case, and Al Heyman brings them all to Showtime, those 3 fights to Showtime, then all is forgiven, right?
For sure, for sure. So I want to go around and I just want to ask this question. 2 questions. Well, first of all, and just really quick, is there a such thing as a boogeyman in boxing? Like, is there a dude that everybody else is like, oh my God, I don't want to fight that guy? Does that exist? Beeb, is there such thing as a boogeyman in boxing, in your opinion?
Yes, it's you. No. I think there are guys that are kind of on the do not fight list, but I'm not going to say that David Benavidez is that guy. I do think Caleb Plant would fight him. I do think Charlo would fight him. Andrade, I don't know. He's all over the place, but I do think that people would fight David Benavidez, especially now because he is starting to become a name over at PBC.
Okay.
And you know, he's making some pretty good money over there from what I hear from Samson Lukowitz. So
Okay. Alex Doomsday, is there such thing as a boogeyman? And is the Mexican monster the boogeyman? If so,
Listos para los chingazos, champ. There's a couple of guys. B, you made a good point. There's a couple of guys out there, you know, that'll fight him. I mean, if you're asking me if is there a boogeyman right now, I'll say Jaron Ennis. I say Jaron Ennis is a boogeyman. I think that a lot.
Point.
I think Jaron Ennis is one of those guys that people are not running the fight. He's been so devastating in his fights. Even the top guys will give him his props. You know, you've heard what Earl Spence says. You know, he's a young pup or he's up and coming, and you know, kind of just playing it down. But they do give him his credit, and I think he's one of the guys that people are not going to be, you know, quick to sign a fight with, whether it be, you know, the top guys or any of the mid-level guys. Nobody wants to fight this guy. I mean, even his come up, you know, in the beginning was really, he had a lot of fights before we really started to started to make noise. But that was only because people didn't want to fight him, you know, and now they just can't deny him. So it's going to be interesting to see him in those top fights. So I'll say he's one of them.
all right. George, really quick, brother, is there such thing as a boogeyman in boxing, in your opinion?
I think there has been boogeymen throughout history in boxing. Yes, the guy that nobody wants to fight. I guess you would call him the high risk, low reward guy. Sometimes can be, you know, a boogeyman. I guess would you want to add Janibek's name in there too with Boots? You know, for this, not yet. Okay.
Couple minutes.
All right, it's coming. All right. Yeah, I think there's been boogeyman for sure. But Benavidez, I thought of it, but when Joe just made that point that there is guys that are willing to fight him, that's actually a really good point. So boogeyman, yeah, man, they're there. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Calix, is there such thing as a boogeyman
Yes.
in boxing?
Yes. And I'll go off of this. You mentioned earlier, are there 5 victories better than David Lemieux for Golovkin? I would argue yes. I would argue Derevyanchenko, Danny Jacobs. The first Canelo fight, in my opinion, Martin Murray was a better win. Gil was a better win. So I can name all 5 off the top of my head that were better wins than Lemieux, just in my opinion. But that brings me to Golovkin. Golovkin was a boogeyman for a while until Canelo fought him. I think that Janibek is one of those guys that will be. Boots Ennis is right now. It all depends on if the risk matches the reward, right? And if it's not, and a guy where the risk is way too high for the reward, then that guy is the boogeyman. And you have a couple guys like that in boxing right now. And I think Janibek is going to be one of those guys for a while. I don't think anybody around 160. Andre is about to duck him for a second time because if the WBO mandates that, he's going to move up to 168 if they force their hand. And
Absolutely.
and also Munguia didn't want that fight. So yeah, but somebody said it on Twitter. I wish I remembered because I wanted to give him credit, but it's always the guy is avoided until he gets his name, and then he does the avoiding. That seems to be the natural process. Because look at Golovkin after 2018, right? He's been doing a lot of avoiding himself. So you're avoided until you get your name, and then you start doing the avoiding yourself. Then the boogeyman's not the boogeyman anymore, right? D-style.
That's right. I've always said that there's no such thing as a boogeyman in boxing. That's just how I've always felt about it. By the way, people talk about it, like in terms of, everybody's scared of this guy. Do I think guys look at certain fighters and say, he does nothing for me and it's too big of a risk for little reward? Like if I beat him, no one's really going to give me credit. It's not going to mean much. If he beats me, I mean, shit, I'm shit out of luck. But it is what it is. And I think that the culture of boxing creates that atmosphere, right? Like guys don't want to take that risk or something you mentioned earlier. Like we throw fighters away when they lose, right? For whatever reason. But hey, with that said, guys, it's been a great show. Make sure you tune into the round table on Thursday here on this channel. I might be live tomorrow. I'm not sure yet, but we'll wait and see. I want to shout out to everybody that was in the chat. Johnny Thunder, the Goat, G Funky, Pulism, Alex doing double duty, doing work in the chat. Andre Rodriguez, Maestro Boxing, Joe Lopez, all you guys. I want to thank you guys. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here. Peace.